Hello, everyone. I am Saima Khan, the founder of Head Start Learning Academy, and I am highly honored and privileged to be able to take the appointment of an officer and a gentleman, Brigadier MC Pant, who is quintessentially the officer and the gentleman. Before I introduce you to him physically, I would like to speak and talk about him in a few lines, because if I actually speak everything about him, it will take days on. So it is our honor, all of us at Head Start Learning Academy, of welcoming a very distinguished guest who truly embodies the spirit of a lifelong learner. And that is what we all believe in, being a lifelong learner. A short clip telling you and showing you about Brigadier MC Pant. This is not enough at all. The family, the backbone, the lifeline of a soldier, his family, and especially the lady of Mrs. Ruchita Pant. Brigadier MC Pant, I will not add retired at all, because his name is synonymous with dedication, excellence, and a deep commitment to shaping young minds, along with as a soldier when he started off with shaping the minds of all his subordinates and, of course, many others. He comes from a rich military lineage, having begun his schooling at the prestigious Convent of Jesus and Mary in Ambala, Kent. He then honed his skills at Sainik School, Khorakal, Uttarakhand, before graduating from St. Joseph's College, Nainital. Commendable. His academic prowess was evident early on, leading him to the National Defense Academy and subsequently the Indian Military Academy. He not only excelled but secured the coveted Brigade of the Guards Gold Medal and the Silver Medal for his exceptional performances. Brigadier Pant's illustrious military career spanned 35 years. He served with distinction. It really makes me very emotional. In the 9th Battalion of the Brigade of Guards, leading his unit with great success from 2002 to 2005. His leadership extended beyond the battlefield as he commanded the 64 Mountain Brigade from 2011 to 2013. His dedication wasn't confined solely to military ethics. Throughout his service, he displayed a keen interest in education, holding various prestigious positions as a chairman for numerous schools, including the Army Public Schools in Barrackpore, West Bengal, Jorhat, that is Assam, and Lucknow, Uttar Pradesh. His passion for nurturing young minds resulted in a remarkable transformation of these schools. His focus on academics and infrastructure improvements culminated in APS Jorhat, Assam, being recognized as the best APS in the mid-sized category nationwide. His story doesn't end here. His love for learning continues to this day. Sir has actively pursued certifications in financial planning and consultancy, demonstrating a lifelong commitment to self-improvement and empowering others. Please join me in welcoming Brigadier MC Pant, a soldier, an educator, and a true champion for lifelong learning. Welcome, Brigadier Pant. It is our honor and actually we are truly honored to have you here. And I take this opportunity to introduce our host for this show, Mrs. Ruchita Munshi, an educator par excellence. Before I hand over to Ruchita, this was all about Sir's professional career. I would just like to add that he is a man with empathy, a man who loves what he does, despite his busy schedule. He takes out valuable time for his parents, his father. Salute you, sir. The way you are looking after your parents. We all have to learn from this that parents are indispensable. Your interaction with students, with teachers, with principals, we will talk about it because I will get emotional. So I hand over to Ruchita. Thank you so much. And Brigadier Pant, thank you so much for taking out time for us. We are truly honored and indebted. God bless you.
Thank you, Saima. It's an honor to be here with you.
Hello, Brigadier Pant. I'm Ruchita Munshi, and I'm the host for this talk show today, Speak with Saima, Seedhe Dil Se. So it's an honor and a privilege to speak with you, sir, on this platform. At Head Start Learning Academy, we are a team of educators who aim at inspiring our young audience by interacting with stalwarts like you, who, with your exemplary work and enriching experience, will guide them in their future endeavors. So, welcome once again, Brigadier Pant, to the talk show Speak with Simon.
Thank you,
So, my
Ruchita.
first question to you, sir, is that yours is an impeccable and admirable journey where you were actively involved as a commanding officer, as a brigade commander, and then you served as a chairman of Army Public Schools Pan India. So, how was the transition from a battlefield to a blackboard for you?
Ruchita, actually, when I was a kid, I was the eldest amongst four siblings. And in those days, taking tuitions was considered as something very deplorable. Therefore, whenever my younger siblings had any doubts, they used to come to me and I used to clarify them. That gave me a good insight into how to teach. And I carried that forward during my tenures in various stations. Wherever I was the chairman of any school, I could relate the teaching aspects to my childhood days. And that is what inspired me to continue with this and nurture our younger generation so that they could also achieve something nice.
Wonderful, wonderful, commendable, absolutely. Because teaching and helping younger siblings is something which is missing nowadays. Children are too focused with themselves and their studies. So this is something really very, very inspiring for our young minds. As we said that we are actually our audience is that which are going to school or who are going to school and who will be like really inspired by your story. That's why I really wanted to straight away get to this point where we would be actually dealing with students, with college students, maybe school level students, where even the for that matter there are a few teachers who will be listening to this and they'll be truly inspired by your by this talk show. So now my next question to you, sir, is that how challenging it was for you chairing Army Public Schools Pan India, because I know it is a tough job.
Well, my first school was APS Barrackpore when I became the commander in 64 Mountain Brigade. And I was the station commander in Barrackpore as well as the president of the cantonment board. So there were three schools in Barrackpore. One was the Army Public School Barrackpore, the other was the Black Cat Pre-Primary School, and the third was the Kendri Vidyalaya Barrackpore. So by virtue of my appointment as station commander, I became the chairman of all the three. That was my first experience as a chairman, though as a unit CO, since my wife was also teaching in one of the local army schools, Whenever there was any function in the school, I used to be requested to provide help. So I had certain amount of interaction and inclination of what is required.
Oh,
So I
good.
could make use of that information. However, in Barrackpur, when I initially joined, I was surprised to find that there were no army ladies teaching. When I inquired, I was told that, sir, whenever we go for interview, somehow we all get rejected. So that was quite surprising. So
Shocking, rather shocking, I would say.
yes, yes. So I looked at the profile of the interviewees and I realized that they were youngsters who had no clue. So my deputy commander was a qualified SSB interviewer. So
Wonderful.
hereafter, I started detailing him as the chairman of the interviewing board, and along with the principal and certain other teachers, subject-related teachers, they would go and conduct interviews, and we were able to get some good ladies, including our army ladies, because my personal opinion was that we need two sets of teachers. The continuation of traditions in a school, and they are the civilian teachers because they are permanently located there. And then we need to introduce certain amount of changes, which the army ladies, by virtue of their grooming in the army and by virtue of their being in various stations, they are able to learn what is good in different schools and carry it to other schools. So with the combination of these two, we were able to improve things. Then when I went for their first annual day function, I was quite surprised to see the principal running around. So after the event, I called her and I said, please show me your standard of, which unfortunately they were not maintaining. So then I detailed boards of teachers to prepare certain standing operating procedures for various in the school, which I myself reviewed after they brought it up to me. And that gave them a guideline on how to go about various activities and streamline the things better. Then there was a lot of requirement of infrastructure. If you need quality education, you need quality infrastructure,
True,
good
true.
classrooms with good computer lab, a good library with good reference books. And these were things where focus was less. So this is the place where I focused and I introduced various changes in these aspects, which helped the teachers and the kids. Then we streamlined the infrastructure construction part of the school because the teachers primarily are educators and they don't have administrative knowledge. So we had one retired army officer who was doing the administrative officers for the school, but somehow I found that the amount of initiative required was less. So I introduced my garrison engineer and I said, you oversee all the activities in the school as far as the infrastructure development is concerned. And since the officer was an infantryman, he didn't have any knowledge about works. So the GE was able to help him out. And by the time I left, a very fair amount of development had taken place in that school.
That's really commendable because, see, the initiatives you took and the reforms that you took were really, really, I think we all should be proud of. Why? Because if we have station commanders like you who actually take a lot of interest in, bringing up a change, bringing about a change in the school's infrastructure, or maybe, the reforms are there in the teaching process, especially with the quality of teachers that you're providing in the school. Because, see, at the end of the day, you were absolutely right in retaining the civilian teachers over there because they are those permanent staff members. But then, of course, some new changes, if they have to be brought about in a station, then you need a new thought process, something which is not applicable in that area but is actually going on in other areas, so that new thing can be added, the reforms can be added. And that way, I think the best comes out of whatever little resources you have. So, sir, I think that was really, really commendable. You did a wonderful job, and we all are so, so very grateful to you that you, of all the persons, were selected. Maybe God was kind enough for the locals over there, because the children must have really benefited. And at the end of the day, the only I believe the main reason to function or to establish a school is that the students should learn something, and students are the, the basis of any school. So that was something very nice. So I mean, I must compliment you for that, sir. Wonderful. So, if I may ask, the connections which you had to build with the students and the teachers, because that is something which is very, very important. Every now and then, one odd thing crops up. And that is how, there are few challenges which, as a chairperson, as a chairman, you must be facing. So, what surprised you most about interacting with young minds? Maybe young minds of the students, and of course, their subsequently with teachers, if I may ask.
See, one thing which I observed was that it was the parents who were directing the kids towards certain lines as per their choice. And it may not be as per the child's aptitude. So I
Hmm.
introduced a system that once the child crosses class 8, the parents and the child come together to the school and we have a counseling session where the counselor of the school, the principal, and I, as the chairman, interacted with the parents. And most of them wanted their kids to join the science stream. Now, this was something which, if a child does not have the aptitude for science subjects or for mathematics, you are ruining his life by making him join. So I could give them example by my own daughters. Both of them are non-science students and doing well in life. And I urge them not to pressurize their children, but rather go with the opinion of the academic counselors who will do a test and see their aptitude and accordingly guide them on which streams they should go opt for. This helped to a big extent, and that pressure for science stream reduced because we have a restriction in the army school that children obtaining less than 82% in class 10 are not offered science subjects. Therefore, these parents who were wanting their children only to join science stream were finally motivated to let them continue with other subjects as per their aptitude, and we could give them a whole list of options which were open to them once they passed out of school.
Very good. In fact, this is what is missing, and we have been advocating. I mean, as Head Start Learning Academy, Mrs. Saima Khan has been very, very vocal about this. And wherever she is going as an academic auditor, or she's going as a facilitator to most of the workshops and all, she has been telling that student counseling and even parent counseling, for that matter, is very, very important. Because nowadays we find that the parents are after their child's life, that he should or she should only pursue a particular stream, whereas children who are actually, they don't have an aptitude, as you rightly said, that they don't have aptitude for physics, chemistry, maths, biology, maybe science stream. So they should not be forced to take such type of subjects, because they might, and if Mrs. Khan might want to
I
add
would like
something
to
to it.
talk about Brigadier Pant over here, Ruchita, if you allow me so. Uh,
Please, please.
5 years in the field of education from a family of educators. And I can very proudly say that the first time I found a chairman who was in the field of education, despite being a very well known as a soldier, and reaching the rank of a brigadier is not an easy task. But
Absolutely.
you won't believe he was the chairman for the SAP. Sir, do you remember 4 years? I think we sat together, or 2 years was it? So 2 years with you heading the obviously the presiding officer and me as the headmistress of APS. The questions, it was not only him doing; he used to give everybody a chance, and the questions that were asked were education. So I just wanted to share this, that it's just not हवे में हम लोग बात कर रहे हैं, witness to everything, and that is why such regards for you. And he would give the teachers a chance to speak. I remember, sir, if you remember, one teacher could not make it on the day of the interview. He actually came the next day. He was, you sir, you were the लखनऊ में आपकी तो that आप पे क्या वो थी पोस्ट, हम तो पोस्ट भूल जाते हैं. You were the GOC in
Deputy GOC in Mupsa.
Mupsa, the most active position over there, always there. He actually came back the next day, made us all come back, and he took the interview of the teacher who was not available for some genuine reason, and she was selected. So I hope you remember this case.
It speaks volumes about you, sir. In fact, Mrs.
Volumes
Khan
about a
actually,
person.
I mean, spoke about it at length because she was witness to all this, so she remembers. And maybe
I
you
had
must
to
have forgotten,
interfere.
but then she hasn't forgotten. So this is
No,
something
nothing
really, really
forgotten.
something.
And each teacher, like he would interact, and we would feel, yes, there is an educator in the olive green uniform. So thank you so much for everything that you have done for the fraternity education. And I would like to thank you later on for all that you have done. He's been such an empathetic person. I won't take liberties. And I was going on medical leave, and he rang up to say, "Why didn't you call me up and tell me?" So I said, "I thought I had to follow the protocol." He said, "No, you should have told me." And my medical leave was granted. No chairman does that. Sir, thank you and salute you. Over to you, Ruchita, for your next question.
We should be thanking Indian Army for giving us the opportunity or giving the APSs an opportunity that a person like him, like Brigadier Pant, could be, they gave him the post of a chairman. And it was the proud privilege of all the APSs wherever he has been posted and he has been chairing them. So we should be thanking Indian Army. They have got an eye for the right type of person. I hope they continue this tradition and we get more and more chairpersons, chairmen like you, sir. The schools will be very, very fortunate. The students, the administration, and of course the teachers, they'll be blessing you from the core of their hearts. So we are very, very happy with that, sir. Now, I would like to talk about something like your transition from a serving officer to an army veteran. It's a little challenging initially. My husband has been coping up with this because he superannuated quite recently. So, how difficult was it for you to adjust in your new civil environment? So, if I may ask, sir.
Actually, it was not difficult at all. Well, there are two reasons. Firstly, my dad was also in the army, but because of our education, he stayed separated wherever he moved out from field to field. And we were anchored in Nainital, where we completed our education. After getting out of Sainik School, Ghodakala, I joined St. Joseph's. My younger brother was also in the same school, and both the sisters were in St. Mary's, which is a sister school next to us. So we did our complete education from there. And by virtue of us being away from cantonments, we were used to civilian life.
Wonderful.
And thereafter, even though I had a long tenure in the army, towards the end, I was fortunate to be interacting with civilians, firstly in Barrackpur, where I became the president of the cantonment board. And cantonment board, especially in Bengal, where people are very politically oriented, was quite a challenge. But that gave me a good insight into how to deal with civilians. Thereafter, in both the sub areas, there are a large number of civilians and station headquarters also. So that again was a good experience dealing with them. And I followed my parents' footsteps. And I also, towards the end of my tenure, in my last 5 postings, I stayed separated. And my wife was anchored in Delhi for the sake of education of my children. So whenever I came on leave, I was there with a jhola going to the market myself and no administrative NCO doing any work. So I was quite used to a civilian life. And immediately after retirement, since my wife was still working in Gurgaon, so we decided to buy a flat here. And it was a new flat, a lot of work had to be done, and the work had to be done by you yourself and get it done by yourself. So I stayed here in the house and got it done myself. So in the 3 months which it took to get the house refurbished, I was quite used to civilian life.
Let me remind the viewers that over here, Brigadier Pant, who's interacting with the audience, uh, he has served for 35 years in the Indian Army. That is a quick, gentle reminder. So, coming this from him is something which is like, the adjustment issues. If somebody is talking about, here's the person who has been an active member of the Olive Green family for 35 years. That is something, sir, really, really huge, I must say. So a transition like the way you are explaining things is something like it was very, very smooth. I hope and pray that most of our army people, they do the transition like this and they adjust well. They do because फौज ट्रेन कर ही देती है हर एनवायरनमेंट में अपने आप को ढालने के लिए. सो दैट इज समथिंग वेरी, वेरी नाइस एंड वेरी इंस्पायरिंग for all the army officers who are going to superannuate soon or who have recently superannuated. So they should listen to all this, what you are saying, sir. So this is something very nice.
Here,
Now,
I would like to just, because the word Gorakal is just playing in my ears. I was training young boys, class fifth May, for Gorakal, and many of them got admitted also. They got admission. One of my students, and this is not the only time, my one of my students got stuck in DMA, sir. Do you remember? He didn't even ask me. I just told my husband that I want to speak to Brigadier Pant. That empathy, that respect for students, and that helping hand always. I say, please help me out, and I want admission for this child. He actually helped out, and that boy is now in the final year of ND, or he's already passed out. Thank you so much for everything that you not only have done for me, for the army fraternity, but for being a kind soul. दिस मस्ट गो दैट आर्मी ऑफिसर्स को समझा जाता है कि बहुत ही तैश में रहते हैं. हियर वी हैव अ वेरी calm, composed, and a smiling gentleman. So that is really hats off to you. Ruchita, if you, before you ask the next question, I would just like to you to speak about that lovely family that you have with those three brilliant ladies in your family.
Um,
Sir, the question has been asked straight from Mrs. Saima on Speak with Saima. So, if you may answer this question, and I know you will be like rearing to go and wanting to speak about your family. So, please do speak about your family, sir.
my wife is Ruchira, and she is a teacher, and she is teaching presently in GD Goenka World School here in Gurgaon. She has been teaching throughout. Earlier, when we got married, she was a computer programmer. But after our wedding, I was posted in Ratnuchak that time, and there were no
Sir,
computers available.
Ratnuchak, where our civilian won't know. Ratnuchak,
Ratnuchak is
as in
close to Jammu,
G.
and there were no computers in that area. So there was no way she could pursue her profession there. So after some time, I suggested to her that she gets qualified in her B.Ed, so that wherever we go, army school will always be there. So she could be usefully utilizing her time. So she did her B.Ed, and thereafter, wherever we were posted, initially when the kids were small, that time she couldn't join. But once my younger daughter became 3 years, then mother and kid both together started going to the schools. And thereafter, she has been a teacher throughout wherever we have gone, in whichever schools which were available there, she has been teaching. And that has been a big help to my daughters. And they didn't need tuition again because mother was able to teach them and guide them
They were
through.
fortunate that they had two educators in the house, sir. I must say, you and your wife
No,
together.
I
So that is
hardly had
something
a contribution there because I was staying separated because of their education. My wife was the one who was looking after them.
good,
And
sir. But then, of course, you were there in the background, and your wife knew that you are there. Your support is there. So I think that is something, like-minded people, living together, maybe at a little distance, but that doesn't matter. Distance doesn't count, sir. When you have got compatible people together, and you think and you know that what has to be done and who has to do what job, So this is something very, very nice.
And
So
about his daughters,
My
we haven't
elder
heard.
daughter,
अभी daughters के बारे में नहीं सुना.
my elder daughter is Kritika, and she did her MBA from Symbiosis Pune, and thereafter she joined Credit Suisse, from where she moved out last year, and she is now the assistant vice president with Citibank, and located in Mumbai.
Arey,
She's married.
wonderful, wonderful.
She's married. Her husband is also a banker. He's working with HDFC Bank in Mumbai itself. The younger one did her MSc in clinical psychology. Thereafter, she did some time with the Mental Health Foundation of India, counseling prisoners in Tihar jail. But she didn't find this job interesting. So she wanted to do something in social development. And she went to Ladakh and did a fellowship from the Naropa Institute on entrepreneurial leadership. Thereafter, she has been selected by the Madhya Pradesh government, and she is coordinating in Guna district of Madhya Pradesh the Nipun Bharat Pariyojana. This is the skill development program for kids in Madhya Pradesh. So she is the coordinator for Guna district.
Wonderful, wonderful. And you are the proud father.
This is what we want to convey through the story of Brigadier MC Pant. Like charity, education begins at home. So like this is an exemplary case, quintessentially. अपने बच्चों को जब पढ़ा लिया है, that means then you have got the guts to teach and speak to others.
Absolutely.
So when they are doing so well, you can just stand straight and say, yes, I've done the education at home. Now I can spread education. So this is for all the parents who feel कि हमारा बच्चों के लिए time नहीं है. See the life of an army officer who stayed away to be with them. Oxymoron.
Absolutely. And when the children are doing so well, you can actually proudly tell the other people that, yes,
Yes.
see, if you educate your children, you give them the right platform, they can reach places. So that is something very, very good, sir. Very
would
good.
like
I
to
would
say
like
something,
to
sir.
add something more.
Ji.
Now, here the ladies play a bigger role, because in the army, most of us are running around in different commitments. And if the lady, if she is able to groom the kids well, that makes all the difference.
True. Absolutely true, sir. Most
True,
of the
sir.
time, you're posted at to far-flung places where maybe during your time and our time, sir. These days, of course, Android phones are available. We used to have those PCOs, and of course, the PCO used to be located, say, around 50, 60 kilometers away, where you could not speak to your
Not
families
only
at
the
all.
PCOs, those phones जो दबा के ऐसे करके बोलना पड़ता था या
Yes,
हाथ ऐसे
yes,
होने
yes.
लगता था.
And then the
So
satellite phones came in where you were just given 3 minutes to, start and end the conversation. So that was something we have seen those days. And I don't know how many of our younger generation would be associating all that with. But actually speaking, it is the truth. We have faced all this. वो लेटर जाती थी और बीमार हुए भी तो बीमारी ठीक भी हो गई जब लेटर पहुंची. So you are on your own actually.
can we applaud for Mrs. Ruchira Pant? It is actually
Absolutely.
the strength behind
Strength behind the
our,
soldier.
not
Yes.
only behind, beside, I would say. I was
Absolutely.
checked for this by behind, it should be beside. So beside Brigadier Pant. So salute you, sir.
Yes.
Anything else you would like to add to the family?
No, we are this much, and my parents are with me.
Ji,
And presently, of course,
looking
due to
after.
their old age, they have a lot of problems.
ब्रिगेडियर पन ने अपने घर ही में आईसीयू टाइप का एक सिचुएशन बना के रखा है बट ही इज
But
नॉट.
sir, you are the support system, so I don't think बच्चों से ज्यादा में माँ बाप को old age में कुछ चाहिए होता है, and you are taking care of them. So you actually are a role
दिस
model
इज
for
ऑल्सो
so
लर्निंग
many, for all
एक्सपीरियंस.
of us actually.
जी.
All the viewers who are actually listening to this talk show today, they will take inspiration from you, sir, and your life journey. And of course, this little bit, I would like you to speak something about a little more about your parents, sir.
My dad retired as a major. He was in the Army Service Corps. And prior to joining the army, he was an educator. He was a
Yes.
lecturer in Pauri Garhwal.
Gee.
Wonderful.
And after the 1962 operations, when the emergency was declared, he also joined as an emergency commissioned officer. And he was posted to the Army Service Corps, where he spent 20 years and retired as a major, because by the time he had joined, he was already 29 years old. So
Absolutely,
he
sir. But
didn't
that was
have
a
very,
very big, bold decision, sir, on his part, and it was very, very good, actually.
yes.
Mhm.
And my mother was a homemaker, and my dad kept moving from field to field. In those days, fields were not as lucrative as these days. There were no,
True, agreed. Yes.
so people didn't want to go. So he went from field to field so that we could be anchored in one place in Nainital and complete our education without disturbance. Because those days, education was not good in various stations. There weren't many schools, and the schools which were good were quite reluctant to admit students that came beyond the academic periods. So there was a
True.
problem. So that is why we stayed in Nainital with our mother, and she looked after us and encouraged us whenever there was any problems.
Looked after you all very well.
And that was one of the reasons why I also got into teaching at an early age, teaching my younger siblings.
How sweet that
Well, that
is.
is something very nice,
That is
sir. We
really
all
nice.
should learn from you, yes. And
Mhm.
the younger generation should learn from you, sir. And I'm sure they'll be deeply, deeply inspired by your words today. So, sir, if I may ask, how do you keep yourself busy these days? I can very well imagine that a person like you, will always utilize his life experiences with something more meaningful and fruitful, especially for the society at large. So, with your experiences, how do you utilize your time, sir?
See, after I retired, I was given an offer by the Cabinet Secretariat to join them. But because my parents were with me and they were medically having a lot of problems, I declined. I told them, thank you for your offer, but my conditions don't permit me to accept it. So thereafter, I was approached by CLAWS, Center for Land and Air Warfare Studies, and they gave me an offer that I need not come there. They would send me material online and I could prepare articles and send it to them. But somehow I wanted to now stay away from what I had been doing for 35 years and do something new. So that is when one of my course mates who had left the army earlier, about 10 years before me, and he had started a company called Hum Fauji Initiatives, Colonel Govila, Sanjeev Govila. So he asked me to join him. I told him about my medical problems of my parents. So he said, no, no, I'm not offering you a job. I just want you to help me out because I want to expand. So I, that time, didn't have any clue about finances, especially managing our personal finances as a business. So he gave me time. He said, you attend certain courses and get qualified and get a license. So I spent some time, got myself qualified in both mutual funds as well as insurance, health, general, as well as life insurance. And thereafter, we set up a branch here in Gurgaon, and he helped me out, and we started off. Shortly thereafter, COVID took over, and everything came under lockdown. So, though we were in business, but there were no clients available for nearly 8 months, and I was feeling guilty because he was doing the expenditure. I was only eating the cream.
So
So I called him up one day and I told him, yeah, I'm feeling very guilty. You please close this and amalgamate these people back with you. And as and when COVID situation improves, then we will look into the thing. However, in the meanwhile, my dad suffered a stroke and he got semi-paralyzed. And then I realized that now staying away from my house would be a problematic issue. So after the COVID was over, I refused. I said, no, now let's not continue again. In the meantime, SEBI had come up with an idea of educating people on finances, and this is that financial awareness programs. So Govila again called me up because he was approached by some of the mutual fund companies that could he undertake it for the defense forces people. So he came to me, he said, can you take this on? So I said, yes, this is something which can be done from home and once in a while you move out for lectures. So this is,
True.
So that is how I joined the Hum Fauji Empowerment Initiative. And we have been going around the country into various military stations and conducting talks on how to manage their personal finances. And I must have conducted more than 100 sessions so far in the last 3 years. In addition, there's Major General Cyrus Peethawala, Ashok Chakra. He is now the head of the Leslie Sawney Endowment Trust of Tata Finance. So he approached me one day. He was commanding his unit in Uri when I was the BM there in Rampur. So he approached me and he said, we are conducting sessions for the Veer Naris. Can you chip in with the financial education for them? I said, no problem. So that is how I got involved with him also. And we have conducted about 40 sessions for Veer Naris in different stations on managing personal finances.
Kudos to you, sir, because Veer Naris is something which we all Fauji's are very, very passionate about. See, we all are part of this fraternity and we know the ups and downs, highs and lows of this profession. So, a heart goes out to all the Veer Naris, especially, we are interacting with them at unit level or at the brigade level, or maybe at a corps or a command level. I'm not saying that, but at each and every level, we find we have to empathize with them. We have to understand. We should not, that sympathy level, of course, but empathy is required and support is required. That is what I feel
Which
that is
Brigadier
very,
Pant is
very
giving.
important, which you are giving. This is
So did you
something.
go to Uri? Did you go to Uri to
Me?
give the lecture? Ji,
No, no. See, we go to only those units that
ji.
call for us.
Okay.
No, we send out letters
Like
that this.
this month also you've been very busy, so you went
No,
out of
this
Gurgaon.
month I have not gone anywhere.
Okay,
Because my dad is in a situation when I can't leave him at the moment.
right. So before Ruchita asks for a special request from you, and we would like to end on that, I would request you to kindly just share something with all our viewers and our listeners, teachers, students, principals, like everybody. What message would you like to give them on Teachers Day 2024?
Well, I would like to tell them that teaching is a very serious profession. You are playing with the life of the future generation of this country.
Agree.
And the more serious you are about this profession, the better our future generation will be. There are certain things which I had noticed even when my kids were in school. The new education policy is laying a lot of emphasis on research methodology. And even children are being given projects for doing certain research on a particular subject and then coming up with a project report. But the way commercialization has overtaken our education, there are various shops in the market where they are selling those projects. So when I was chairman of the schools, I requested the principal that please slot specific periods for projects. Let the kids be in the computer room where internet is available and do the research under the guidance of teachers. No project will be taken home. So that whatever inputs are found by these students from the computer, from the internet, that should be the basis of their research. And based on the guidance of their teachers, they should prepare their projects. We should not go in for purchased projects.
Absolutely.
This is
Agreed.
one thing which I would like other schools also, in case they are not already doing it, please take this aspect properly. Because see, in our education system, most of the things are by rote. People have to lagao ratta and then appear for the exam. That is not what is
True.
actually required in life. Because once you leave school, ratta doesn't come in handy at any way. So if the child is capable of researching a subject and analyzing the thing, his mental faculties will improve and he will be able to improve upon whatever he has learned and utilize his mind. Then whenever I was the chairman of the primary schools, I emphasized that innovative ways should be found for teaching kids so that they don't become a set-minded person. No, like A for apple, B for boy, and everything is same, and the teacher is saying something, and the kids are repeating. So I said A has got various varieties, right? From apple to aeroplane to ant to anything. So give them options. Ki A stands for this also and this also. So they start widening their horizon. And if you introduce such things in your education system, then you will have children who will be very broad minded and they will be able to think of alternatives and think out of the box.
That is
True.
commendable,
In
very
fact,
true.
Mrs. Khan's very passionate subject, very close to her heart, because wherever we take sessions, wherever she conducts workshops, she has been conducting workshops pan India, and for various organizations. She goes to different schools where she advocates and preaches the same thing. So let me tell you, sir, that this clip will be a part of her sessions wherever she goes, because this is a very huge and a very strong worded message for all educators, for all schools for that matter. So let me tell you, you are going to become very popular and famous.
He's already
जितने
very
लोग
popular.
मिसेस खान को जानेंगे, उतने ही जने आप लोगों को, आपको भी सर, आपकी ये क्लिप तो हर सेशन में यूज होगी, because this is a very strong message and a very I would say the need
Thinking
of
out
the
of the
hour, I
box.
would say.
Absolutely, absolutely. So,
So let me just come to the final part of this interview, this wonderful interview, an eye opener for all of us. Brigadier Pant, we all know that you have a mellifluous voice. You're a wonderful singer. If I may request you to sing a few lines of your favorite songs, one of your favorite songs, it would be a pleasure listening to you, sir. So we are all ears.
Okay. This is a song from a movie Prem Pujari. फूलों के रंग से दिल की कलम से तुझको लिखी रोज पाती कैसे बताऊं किस किस तरह से पल पल मुझे तू सताती तेरे ही सपने लेकर के सोया तेरी यादों में जागा तेरे ख्यालों में उलझा रहा मैं जैसे कि माला में धागा हाँ बादल बिजली चंदन पानी जैसा अपना प्यार लेना होगा जन्म हमें कई कई बार
one
थैंक यू
more. Ruchita, एक और. One short clip of
एक
another
और
for singing.
सर,
One more.
कभी वो फौज में कहते हैं ना, वन फॉर द रोड नहीं होता है, तो सर वन फॉर द रोड तो हो ही नहीं सकता. सो वन मोर प्लीज.
आ, बेकरार करके हमें यूं न जाइए आपको हमारी कसम लौट आइए करके हमें यूं न जाइए आपको हमारी कसम लौट आइए देखिए वो काली काली बदलियां जुल्फ की घटा चुरा न ले कहीं चोरी चोरी आके शोख बिजलियां आपकी अदा चुरा न ले कहीं यूं कदम अकेले ना आगे बढ़ाइए आपको हमारी कसम लौट आइए बेकरार करके हमें यूं न जाइए आपको हमारी कसम लौट आइए
क्या बात है. Wow. So, Brigadier Pant, it was indeed a pleasure and an honor to you, sir. Your life is a living example of dedication, true grit, and determination. I'm sure our audience would have thoroughly enjoyed listening to you and about your inspiring an army officer and now as an army veteran. So, viewers, here I was in conversation, a candid conversation with one and only Brigadier MC Pant. It was a pleasure interacting with you, sir. We hope our viewers will draw inspiration from your conversation in Speak with Saima. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Ruchita, and thank you, Saima. It was a pleasure being in your host, being in your session.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much,
so
sir.
much. And as I always say with people whom we want, ye dil mange more. So, part two, as a multifaceted personality, Brigadier MC Pant, it will just be a musical show with you, and Ruchita will join. I
Absolutely. It would
very
be a
soon we will have.
pleasure. Yes,
God bless you.
absolutely.
Thank you so much. And this is Saima Khan along with Ruchita Munshi signing off. See you soon again. And the entire team of Head Start Learning Academy is truly indebted to you. Jai Hind, sir. God bless you.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Thank you, sir.